What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're going to be taking a quick look at the Marvel Select movie Black Panther, and we're going to jump right into it, starting with the packaging. It's the same typical Marvel Select packaging. It looks a little funny because Black Panther is such a small figure, so there's a lot of dead space in there, and then on the front of the box you get a little Black Panther logo. It's pretty much like the movie logo. Along the side it says Black Panther, but it's in very boring, just plain text. I don't know why they don't get more creative with it and make it look kind of cooler. It's very similar to the Thor Ragnarok text. And then on the edge of the box, you get a look at Black Panther. It's some movie-inspired artwork, but it's not necessarily accurate to the figure itself. And then on the back, you get a look at the figure, and then there's a little character description. And the most important thing inside this character description is that it gives credit to Gentle Giant Studios, who sculpted this figure. And you know, the Marvel Select packaging is always cool. It looks decent, but it's huge. It takes up a lot of space, and it's not collector friendly, so once you take it out of the package, it's pretty much garbage. I'm sure there's a way that you could preserve the packaging if you want to take the figure out, but that's not the intention. And here's the King of Wakanda outside of the packaging. And this figure, I gotta say that he looks very cool, but I'm slightly disappointed with the articulation. For the most part, the articulation is pretty nice, but there's one big, huge flaw that's very disappointing. But let's get into it here. So his head is able to move side to side. And then you have some really nice tilt to it. It can't really go back too much. It only goes to about there. But his head does go forward, and you could bury his chin into his chest. So that's pretty decent. Now here's the big disappointing thing. The torso pretty much does not go forward at all. Check that out. That sucks. I was really disappointed in that. When I saw him in the packaging, I really thought that he was gonna have decent torso articulation. It's so bizarre because Thanos had really nice torso articulation, and at first I thought that wasn't the case, but once I heated him up and messed with him a little bit, his torso popped and it worked. And that's not the case with Black Panther. I already took the figure apart, or I popped off the top of his torso so I could see what's going on in there, and it's not going forward at all, and that's super disappointing. But it does go to the side a really nice amount, and it does go back. It goes back an okay amount, but not too much. But I can't believe that it doesn't go forward at all. That is crazy. Anyways, I still like the figure, so I'm not gonna really, dwell on the big negative thing, but I am gonna try to modify that. So in a second here, I'm gonna pop this apart and show you what they got going on, and hopefully at the end of the video I could show you the result of some modifications, and hopefully it turns out decent, because I really want to like this figure. He's a really nice looking figure, but that torso articulation is unacceptable to me. But let's get back into it here. So his torso could go side to side, and then for his arms, they're able to go all the way around. They could come out to the side. You have the upper bicep swivel. You have double jointed elbows, which is rare for Marvel Select, so that's pretty cool that they put that in there. You have a hinge at the wrist and a swivel at the wrist. And for his legs, it has these kind of hip joints that people aren't very fond of, but I really don't mind them. Sometimes they kind of annoy me, but I was okay with them on Homecoming Spider-Man, and I'm kind of okay with them on Black Panther. So they do allow his legs to come all the way out to the side, but it does start to look kind of weird. But they're decent. They work pretty good. They could go forward to about there. They could go back to about there. And then he has the upper thigh swivel. Double jointed knees, which are kind of weird, but they're definitely double jointed knees. His feet can go to the front to about there. They have weird joints going on here. It kind of looks awkward sometimes, but it doesn't look horrible. And they could come up to about there. There's no kind of swivel, but there is rocking, so that's pretty good. So yeah, for the most part, the articulation is decent, but there's some things that are very disappointing. I'm not a fan of like how big the joints are, so it kind of makes it weird. Like when you grab his leg and you want to bend his knee, naturally just the first part wants to bend, and if you try to bend it more, it could bend, but it's just weird. It seems like this joint is a little too big. And then of course the torso, man, that sucks. The freaking torso, that's horrible. But yeah, let's pop this open and see what it looks like on the inside. So I know it's a little hard to see because it's dark and everything, but look at that. It's like a piece there that blocks this joint from going forward, and it stops it right there, which is so crazy, because why not just have that hollow so that this thing could go forward more? Even just that little bit of articulation would have been better than what we have. And just to give you a quick look at the little modification I made, all I did was kind of cut out some of this to give this joint a little more room to go forward. And it's just so bizarre to me that this has to be done in the first place, you know? I just don't understand why Marvel Select won't give good ab articulation, especially since they made the cut, you know? The joint is there, why not just make it work? It just blows my mind every single time. But yeah, anyway, so I popped this off and I just trimmed away at this just with like a X-Acto knife. And then I kind of sanded it so it looked a little smooth, you know, but it's going to be hidden by the torso. The only time you're really going to be able to see it is when you bend them all the way back. But I think it's okay. It did add a little articulation. And so now this is the torso articulation after I modified it. And now he's able to crunch forward just a little bit. It's not a crazy amount, but it's enough to keep me happy. If he would have came out of the package like this, I would have really liked this figure. I know it's Marvel Select and their focus is more on sculpt rather than articulation, but the joints are there. These aren't statues. They should be functional. You know, if they're going to make the cut, it should be able to bend at least a little bit. You know, I don't expect him to be able to crouch into a ball like McFarlane Spider-Man or anything like that, but I do want to be able to move him around and pose him. And the way it was before with him just standing stiff, that's craziness. So, you know, now I'm pretty happy with it. It's a shame that this modification has to be done pretty much on every Marvel Select figure. But the crazy thing about it is it's actually not on every single Marvel Select figure. The articulation on the Thanos figure was awesome. So I just don't understand why it's not like that on all of them. I know I probably sound like a broken record whenever I babble about the Marvel Select torso articulation, but it's just so bizarre to me. And I really wish that they had addressed it. And because they would have some of the coolest figures out there if they fixed the articulation. Like this figure, the way it looks, I like the way this figure looks more than the Marvel Legends one, but it doesn't really compare to the Marvel Legends one because that one actually has decent articulation. It has, I mean, really good articulation. And this one, if it had a really good torso, and I think he'd be good to go. He'd rival the Marvel Legends one, but right now he's just kind of there. And like I said, after I made the modification on the torso, I'm happy enough with it, but it's always going to be kind of a little bit disappointing when I look at him, you know. But I made the modification. It is what it is. Hopefully me showing you what I did there is helpful, and you guys could do that too if you want to, you know, increase the articulation in the torso. At least you could kind of get him into some cool poses now. And for his accessories, he comes with a couple sets of hands. The first set being a pair of open hands. And then he comes with a pair of fists. And then he also has this nice looking base. And it looks cool, but there's nothing really special about it. It's kind of just plastic in the back, but there is a nice like rock effect here at the bottom. You have like a vibranium kind of glowing through the rocks, and then on the back it's just like a building. And it is cool, but it kind of sucks because there's no peg holes, so Black Panther can't stand on it. And now for some size comparisons, here we have the Marvel Select Netflix Daredevil and the Marvel Select movie Doctor Strange. And then now we have the Marvel Legends Walmart exclusive Black Panther, aka Pink Panther, and the Marvel Legends movie Black Panther. And then we have the Marvel Legends movie Okoye and the Marvel Legends Killmonger. As you can see, this Black Panther can't really fit in with them. And then we have the Marvel Select comic book Black Panther and the Marvel Select Civil War Captain America. And then we have the Marvel Legends Kraven and the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And for the sculpt work on this figure, I think they did a really nice job. I love the pattern here. It's like very subtle on the suit. You could see like a little bit of design and texturing in there. And I like the way the lines look all over him. I think it'd be really cool to get a variant with like purple in the lines, maybe like a Disney Store exclusive. I think that'd be awesome. One thing I do wish with the head, I wish they went with the eyes exposed look, or maybe like an alternate head with the eyes exposed. Kind of like they show on the side of the packaging. I think that would have been cool. But yeah, everything looks really good. All the joints look very nice. For the most part, they look very nice anyways, except for here at the hips. I know that people aren't really a fan of this kind of joint here, especially for a character that should be able to move and crouch and stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan of these hips either, but I don't hate them. I've kind of become okay with them. For a while, I really disliked them, but you know, they don't look horrible right here. There are some gaps that don't look very appealing, but you know, they don't stand out too bad. Other than that, I think all the joints look really nice. The paint is not very good on this, especially considering that he really didn't need too much paint. It just had a couple pieces of silver, but even those couple pieces of silver aren't done very nice. As you could see right here on the necklace, you could see some silver onto the black. That really sucks. That shouldn't be there, you know, especially for such a simple figure. And then check out the back. It gets really messy right there on the necklace. Let's see down here, like on the legs, you can see a bunch of silver on the black. And it's an easy fix. I could probably touch that up. but it's just a little disappointing that that even happened, because it's not like it's a complicated paint design, you know. It should have been really simple and easy. But yeah, other than that, I think the sculpt is really good. The paint is decent, definitely could have been better, but the overall look and design of the figure does look really nice. So overall, I'd have to say that I'm not crazy about this figure. It's a little bit of a letdown. I was really excited about this guy, and I couldn't find it anywhere locally, so I had to drive a couple hours to go pick it up from a couple towns over. And you know, that was my choice and stuff like that. You know, I'm not blaming anybody, but I do wish that the figure was better. And there's a few things on there that were like simple things that would have made this figure way better. First off, that paint application should have been better. It's so sloppy for such a simple design. It's unacceptable. There's no reason why there should be like silver all over the black. It's crazy. It's just two colors, so it should have been, you know, a perfect paint job. And then the other thing is the articulation. I just don't understand why Marvel Select chooses not to give good torso articulation. And maybe I'm going like too much on that point, but it just seems so, it seems like a tease almost, because every now and then they put out a figure that has perfect articulation, and that's the Thanos figure that they put out, the Disney Store exclusive. It came out like a couple months ago. That figure to me had perfect articulation, and I just don't understand why like all Marvel Select figures can't have perfect articulation. It seems like there's no reason why they shouldn't. They put the joints in there, they should work functionally. But it is what it is, you know. I guess that's something you just got to accept with Marvel Select figures. But with this figure, there is some enjoyment to be had because he does look really nice, and if you just leave him on the shelf and you don't mess with him too much, he's a really cool display piece. But you know, when they put in articulation, it should be a little bit more than that. Some people would say that the proportions aren't very good. Like a lot of people are saying that the torso is a little bit long. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I do think that the legs are a little bit long. Maybe like the upper legs seem like they're long, but I think it's just because the way the hip joints are, it's making it look like the whole thing is kind of long. But to me, just looking at it, it looks nice. It has a really nice sculpt. There are some positives there. I think that he could be pretty cool for some pictures if you have some patience. I think that you get some nice pictures out of him. But as far as playability and posability, that's where he's a huge letdown. But if you like it, I hope that other people pick it up and they enjoy it. If you do like it, let me know what it is you like about this figure. And, you know, I'm happy for you if you pick this guy up and you like it. But just for me, it just didn't really work. So I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And thank you very much. Peace.